We are here with...
Rebecca.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from South Africa.
And how long have you been in Vietnam?
4 năm.
4 years.
Yeah.
So, how old are you?
27.
27?
27.
So, 4 years ago, you came here when you were 23.
Yeah, I just turned 23. I came here when I was 22, and then my birthday was 2 months later. So, yeah.
Why Vietnam?
Because I already knew people who were here, so it was an easy transition to come.
How did you know someone here already?
So, I came with an ex, and that ex knew an entire family who lived in Vietnam. So, that was like the reassurance that I needed. I could just get on the plane and come.
Yeah.
You know, maybe 4 years ago, it was super easy to just get a tourist visa, come to Vietnam, get a job. I think it's still like that now, actually. And maybe 2 weeks later, lockdown in Da Nang.
Did you know much about Vietnam? Or like why, like you're like, yes, you have a friend, let's go, but was there intention of like, I'm sick of South Africa and I'm like, my life here isn't what I want it to be and I just want to get out of here? Is there a sense of that?
That's why I just took a few months to decide and leave. Like, it didn't bother me at all. I was ready to go because I knew that in South Africa I would never be able to afford to study further. I would never be able to pay for my parents. I would never be able to have money to do anything because a teacher in South Africa doesn't make so much money. That's why they're all leaving.
What's the average salary, if you can equate that to USD, in terms of South African wages?
Okay, I don't know it in dollars, but in dong, it's 17 million dong. If you go to like a supermarket, the person working there, maybe that's like the average that they'll get 8 million.
That's like 400-ish USD
Yeah.
a month. So like, how much does it cost to buy a house?
Hundreds and thousands of dollars. Yeah, millions of rands for a property. It's expensive. It's very similar to Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, where during COVID, like everything got super expensive and it kind of stayed that price for everyone, and it's still like that now.
Were you, out of your group of friends, like the only one that was like, I'm gonna go to Vietnam? And what were their thoughts and what was your parents' thoughts?
To be honest, the people from where I'm from are kind of close-minded, you know? Stay in the small town, don't do anything, and stay safe, super important. I had nothing to lose, so I'm quite adventurous in some ways, and I really believe in myself, so I knew that I could do it. So I just packed my bags, I watched videos on YouTube for hours about Vietnam. Okay, back to that question. I think I would finish work at 11, I would go and wait for my ex for like 7 hours or something, and just watch YouTube videos about it.
So why not like Thailand? Why not like Philippines? Why not, let's say, Beijing, right? Or Korea?
So I don't have a teaching degree, so it makes it harder to get into like those other countries. But in Vietnam, if you have a BA and a TEFL, you can teach.
4 years in Vietnam. So
Okay.
what do you do?
So the first year I taught online, fully online, and then it was still the pandemic and I moved to Bien Hoa, and I was also a teacher there at an English center. And that really gave me a wide range to see what I really like. I taught high school, I taught kindergarten, I taught middle school, I taught center. And now I'm working full-time for a Montessori school in Ho Chi Minh City.
Can we ask you, how much do you make?
So I'm not allowed to say how much my job pays me, but I do a little something all over. So around $2,000 is what I make. 60, close to 70 million.
Upper middle class for that salary. So and you made that since year one?
No.
Do you remember what you were making in year one?
Online, $700 a month. And then for the English center, it was 32 million. And then now at the school, it's not that much.
We're talking about teaching and being here for years, but did you have like aspirations of being a teacher before you coming here? Because there is that stigma of people coming here, LBHs, you know, and like, I don't have anything going on, I'm just gonna be an English teacher go to Asia and like figure stuff out here. Is it something you want to keep pursuing? Is it more of a comfy job? Or do you actually want to go further in education?
So the truth is that it's honestly a comfy job. That's one big perk. And the second perk is that you get to live in Vietnam at a pretty reasonably cheap rates if you're making like $1,600, which if you go and look, that's what they're advertising for. $1,600 to $2,000 is what you could make. So before I came to Vietnam, I actually was already a teacher. I was a swimming teacher while that was my part-time work. But I always thought that I need something more, like I need to do something amazing, I need to study something amazing, and I needed money to do that, and I was like, well, I'm already a teacher. I like kids. Let me go work in Vietnam for 1 year, save up, and see what I want to do. Well, it's been 4 years, so I think that kind of answers the question. As I'm still here, I love to teach now, and to be honest, it's a rewarding job. You get paid well for where you live.
Is teaching still like a viable? Is the job market still as hot as it is? Is there a decline? You talked about qualifications, so let's go into the basics now. If someone were to want to become an English teacher, like what do they need?
So you at least need a BA and a TEFL.
And then once you have these teaching certificates, what's the easiest way to finding a job? Do you have to go through an agency? Can you just apply yourself? Like, how did you get your first gig?
So I just showed up at the place and went there because I was already in Vietnam. Don't tell them that you're not in Vietnam. Say that you're coming back in a week or something. Like if you're really planning and you're like, I'm going, tell them, can you do an online interview? You just, I don't know, some other part of the country, and that's a better way because they're going to take the first person who's here. They're not going to wait for you.
Starting, what's like the baseline of a teacher's salary that I should accept?
It depends on your nationality and your... To be honest, it does. I've been here 4 years. I've seen it. Filipino teachers who are sometimes way more qualified than any other foreigner, and they're only making around... See, I don't want to say because I'm not actually 100% sure, but I'll give you...
Based on your POV though.
Yeah, the people that I've met is around 20 to 28 million, let's say. Somewhere around there.
For 160 hours a month, full-time.
Full-time work, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just because you are different, yeah. That's
So,
it's still
based on...
a little old-fashioned.
Because how about if you're of African descent, like you're black?
Even less.
Even less.
At my old job, God forbid they watch this, there was a South African girl. She's a native English speaker, right? South Africans are native English speakers, most of them. And she was getting paid only like 20 mil. Yeah.
Full-time.
Full-time, and she had a teaching degree. Honestly, a lot of jobs are going to try and take advantage of you, but there are also jobs that will not. I know a black guy who works for my old company, and they pay him very fairly, an American guy.
So as we're talking about this, my channel emphasis on overseas Vietnamese, and I'm sure there's a lot of overseas Vietnamese that want to go to the homeland, and I would say an easy way, would you agree, is becoming a teacher. But have you talked to other Viet Kius in terms of coming here and teaching?
And my advice is don't come and just be an English teacher, because I think you at least need to care about it. If you care like I did, where you really loved it, you loved working with kids and stuff, then yeah, I would honestly recommend coming to Vietnam and being an English teacher. But if you're just doing it to get away and you don't really care, then I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should find a different way. And you could honestly just come and start a business.
As you say that, let's talk about expats. Let's talk about foreigners. So I was watching some of your content, and you refer them as Expat Johns. And how many people have you met that are pretty much the antithesis of what you just said? That they come here, they want to run away, they weren't making good money, and now they come here, and they're walking around with their chest up.
So there's just that one online that I've run into. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to give him any clout. But he is this American guy who, he's posted his entire CV on Facebook, so I can see that he came here without anything, and then he's got an associate's degree, and I'm like, okay, well you can't be a teacher then, like, so he's working for some furniture company, and then he's doing some yoga thing, and then he's just, like, okay, I think it bugs me so much is because I see how the Vietnamese struggle to go to America. They just get rejected for no reason, right? They even prep you to go, and then I see like these American, it's always the guys that I never meet a woman like that, ever. But maybe they just haven't revealed that to me. But it's always men that I meet that are like that, who come here with their chest up. They're not legal here. They're just, yeah, they're making a lot of money, not paying tax, not doing anything. And it bugs me because I care about this place.
Tell us more about your first year here. Like, how was the transition coming to Vietnam? Was there any, of someone who doesn't speak the language, who is white in Vietnamese eyes, how was your overall life in transition here? Like, you had that ex first, and you knew a little bit of people, but obviously the culture shock from, like, it's completely two different worlds. So what was the hardest thing about transitioning here?
The hardest thing was when we broke up and I just went my own way and had to do everything my own in Vietnam. You know what I mean? Like we just split and that was it, ditch. And I kind of had to figure out everything on my own. I think that was the hardest part because when you come as a foreigner, the school does quite a lot for you. They organize things for you and stuff. But I think that was really hard, just being by yourself.
And you don't speak the language.
You don't need to. You don't need to, really. You should, though, a little bit. I mean, come on.
You can debate me on this.
Okay, let's see.
That people come here, they have a responsibility to learn the language. Where there's people here who've been here for like 6, 7,
Can't even say hello.
9, 10 years. They don't bother to learn the
Yeah.
language. Their partner is Vietnamese, and they say the same thing. I don't need to
'Cause it is
learn
true. It's true.
Vietnamese. I mean, yeah.
It's true because automatically people don't talk to you if they can't. And then when I try and speak Vietnamese to them, they ignore me sometimes. It's kind of nerve-wracking for me because I feel like I'm saying it wrong, but actually they're just a little bit shocked that I'm even saying anything. But most of the time, they're not going to expect you to be speaking Vietnamese at all. So they're going to find someone who speaks English. And most of the youth in Saigon actually do speak English, but I want to learn Vietnamese. Like, I don't want to, like, the thing about the foreigner now, that also doesn't bug me, but I just think that, wow, you're here so long and you don't even know how to ask someone their age or, like, very, very basic stuff. Like, I can order things, I can say if I'm not happy or something like that. Like, very basic, but I can do it.
Because I'm not going to use you as white America, but coming from a Western perspective, even from Vancouver, where you go to like an English-speaking country, you have Asians there, you have minorities, and you come across privileged people who go to, they hear like an Asian language and they're like, hey, speak English. That's where I'm coming from, that perspective, where these people are like, hey, go back to your country, speak your language. But when white people come to here, they're like, I'm not gonna learn the language.
You say one word.
I don't need to.
And they're so happy that you
Yeah.
said
So
one
then,
word.
if a local's like, oh my god, white person says Xin Jia, oh my god, your Vietnamese is so good.
You know, I've often thought about this topic because the war didn't end that long ago. And I don't know what it is about white people, like specifically white people, but they're so, not everyone from every country, like I'm not being whatever, but I'm white and people speak to me. They're so full of hatred for people that they've never met, for a country that they've never been to. And now I've grown up with that, right? In South Africa, it's very like, tense with the racial tension. So when I came here, I said to my Vietnamese partner, like, do you dislike me a little bit because I'm white and I make more money here? And I was told no. And then we started speaking about the war and stuff, and the answer basically was that you had nothing to do with any of that, so why would I ever be disrespectful to you?
Your overall life in Vietnam, since you made that huge jump, like tell us about you on teacher salary here, supporting not only yourself and from what I remember more schooling, but also your parents. So what are you currently helping them with and how?
South Africa is pretty much like other Western countries, they don't really take care of the elderly. I mean, my dad gets like $100 and something a month, that's it, as his pension. So I pay for his rent and he does some woodwork and stuff to like make other money, but there's really not anything for him for what he studied. You know what I mean? Like he studied to be an auto electrician, but these days you just plug it into the computer to see what's wrong with the car. And my dad can't do that anymore. And my mom actually has cancer. Yeah, so she's going through treatment at the moment, so the government pays for that luckily, and she gets money now from the government. But
you're also helping?
Yes, because my mom took over my car, but she can no longer make the payments, so I pay for the car and the insurance, and the internet for my dad, and the Netflix for all of us and stuff, yeah.
So on 2K a month USD, you were able to take a percentage of that and help that back home.
Yeah, exactly. Like my dad's rent, I don't know what it is in Dong. I think it's around 7 million. It's not too bad. And then when I'm finished studying, which is costing me like 15 million a month. Yeah, just between my parents and school, that's already 30 million. That's why I tutor for like people that I know.
What's the most you've made here a month?
Probably 80 million. Yeah.
That's like here CEO level almost.
Yeah. But that's not every month, That was just a really lucky way I didn't miss one class and I covered for another teacher and stuff. Yeah, but I don't ever want to work this much again. When I'm finished paying, I want to drop my tutor students. I just maybe want to keep the two that live right there because their parents don't speak English and I'm their only help.
What's the next couple of years looking for you? Do you plan on staying in Vietnam long term? Do you plan on moving to another place? And overall thoughts on Vietnam?
So
4 years here.
what's next for me is I am just busy finishing my master's right now. I'm about to do another course for my school, a Montessori course, and then I want to do my PGCE sometime next year, okay, which is my teaching license. And my goal for the next 2 years is to, if I really love the school that I'm at, but maybe in 2 years I want to teach at a fully international school because 2 months summer break paid for. And if you do like the summer camp, you get paid double at some places. So that's what I'm working towards. I really want to buy property in Vietnam. And yeah, ever since my TikTok started like taking off, like, you know, I just post kind of about myself. And ever since it started taking off, I love reading the Vietnamese comments. Like I feel much closer to Vietnamese.
You can read Vietnamese.
Can translate and read some of them.
I was about to give you the brownie points, but I'm like,
I can read some of them, but sometimes the question is just like no tone, and then I don't know what's really going on. But my reading is not so bad, okay? But I do want to do lessons, and I think my TikToks brought me way closer to Vietnamese people.
Has coming here changed your life in a positive light? Like, if it wasn't for Vietnam, where would you be?
Don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. I don't know where I would be where I'm financially stable, I'm in a really good relationship, and I can do all of these things. Like I really don't know. And was always like, I went through a lot in my childhood, like a lot. And I think the best thing for me was to get away from my family, to get away from the mindset that I never agreed with. But if I say something, then it's like, you know, you
going against the grain.
Exactly. Like, get in the sun, go lay in the sun, tan. I don't want to tan. Why? What's wrong with you? Like, I think the best thing for me was to grow up in Vietnam by myself. You know, like my early adult years, I was here by myself, learning by myself. And now I'm 27, I'm getting closer to 30, and I think it was honestly the best thing, like for my mental health. Yeah. Mental health is so important, you know, and coming here didn't fix it or anything like that, but coming here definitely opened my eyes to possibilities, and it doesn't need to be so stressful.
So you essentially took accountability for your life because you weren't happy with the cards that you were given, or people were telling you you should live like this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take ownership of my life. And I feel like that's, even for me, I can relate to that because that's where the growth comes from, being like, you're telling me this, screw this part, I'm going to do what I want to do. 3 tips for someone wanting to come here, whether it's teaching, whether just come here, like what are 3 things that they should know or be aware of?
You need to be flexible because things change here all the time, okay? You need to not try and change anything, okay? It works the way it does here. Like the queues for me are crazy in Vietnam. Like the whole bottleneck situation, like I just gotta deal with it. No one's gonna stand in a line nicely. Just gotta deal with it, okay? Just gotta push myself through there. You should really not be afraid, because I was afraid of everything before. Like I was a really scared to do something on my own kind of person, and I think that this really just showed me that I could literally do anything. I could go anywhere, I could do anything, and yeah, I think you should just believe in yourself. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's really true.
Yeah, good Instagram quote that. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Boom.